There we are. Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. So just about at the top of the gondola now. I'm gonna have to get my skis when I'm getting off here, but it was time to sign on, and it is a spectacular day here at the lake. In fact, as perfect as it can be. So I'll see people signing on in a moment here. There we go. Hi there. Hey, Chloe. Nice to see you here. So I'm in the gondola. I'm with the gentleman from Ukraine, actually. So, who's working down at Emerald Lake, which I can never take you in live tours because I have no reception there. But here we are coming in. So sometimes the reception cuts out just a little bit as I arrive here, okay? I know I'm looking red, but here we are. So I just have to hop off. And then we will have a wonderful visit up here. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are up at the very top. I'm doing my advertisement for my skis here. Let me just come over and put everything down in one little spot for a minute, and then I can give you a bit of a hello and an orientation. Many of you have skied with me before. My skis are down here. I am going to put my goggles on because I need to for the skiing. So I'm at the top of the gondola up here. So 14-minute ride up. You can look over to Larch Mountain in the distance there, ladies and gentlemen. Now there's not a ton of snow, but the conditions for early season are good. But we need more snow, but they're calling for an El Nino this year, which is not particularly good news, but I do want to look out across the valley. That is beautiful Lake Louise, which is not fully frozen yet. It's the famous lake itself, and there is the Victoria Glacier up the back, Mount Fairview on the left, and Mount Purin on the right. And then when I curve down in the distance here, you're looking towards the pass that goes up and over into Yoho Park. So that is the border with British Columbia. A lot of times later in the year when there's tons of snow, I will hike up back here and ski down. But we need a good dumping of snow. There's none in the forecast right now. So that does affect things a little bit. And there is Temple Mountain out there. And there's the glacier at the top of Temple. That'll be one of the longest living glaciers here because it's so high up. That's up at about 11,000 feet, 11,400, 3,400 meters. So a long ways up. And again, when you look at those ridges of the mountains, you're looking at the Continental Divide. Please let me acknowledge that I'm on Treaty 7 territory here. And historically, this was a very important meeting place for both Stoney Nakoda, Cree people, and Blackfoot First Nations. They would come up and they would meet the Cooktaxa people who come up from what is now British Columbia. And of course, that Columbia Valley, the Cooktaxa people would bring up with them salmon and ochre, and then of course they would trade for bison. So pretty cool mix of things. So I'm up here. Lake Louise is the largest ski area in the Canadian Rockies. I have a pass here, which I do every year, a midweek, so Monday to Thursday. If you're interested in some of the costs, it costs me about $750 to buy it. And as long as I ski, about 10 days, it pays for itself. I mean, a day ticket, oh, it's windy now. A day ticket is about $125 or $130 or something. So, you know, it's quite expensive. It's an expensive sport. I mean, if you take my goggles, my helmet, my skis, my boots, the whole setup, you know, I'm about a $2,000 machine. That's why everything I have is pretty much used except for the helmet. My famous green boots, I did buy those new a few years ago. They'll last me 10 years or so. So why do you say we'll go click in? Now you can look down the valleys at the back. It is just so spectacular back through here, ladies and gentlemen. And of course I have no reception back there. If you ever want to see what the back of the mountain looks like, you need to sign on for one of my virtual visiting tours where I did it with a 360 camera. And that up there in the distance at Larch Mountain is a place I really like to go climb up after there's been a heavy snowfall. So these are my skis here. So what do you say we go down and take some turns together? Now, so I have my poles in one hand and I'm holding the gimbal here. So it's awfully fun. There's the gondola. All right, let's go do a few turns. All right, everybody, here we go. This is skiing like an intermediate or a blue running. So look at those views. How's that for a nice start to your day? Woo-hoo. There we go. All right. I will do a couple of fast ones too, but there's the I always sing in French when I ski for some reason. So, come on, nice little spot here. Now, this crusty snow here is because it's been made. Those are snow guns over there. But some of you have done this with me in the past, and you remember how much fun it is. But you can see down into the valley, and you will see the Trans-Canada Highway down there. So it's a 45-minute drive back to Banff. So it's very easy for me to get up. And this time of year, I just tend to leave my ski gear just in the back of the car. Although you got to remember, always bring your boots in at night so they warm up. I have been skiing since I was, I think, 6. Finn, who's in Australia right now, has been skiing since he was 3 years old. I made one mistake when he was young. I'd let him ski between my legs, and so he'd want to go faster. And then he had to learn to go on his own, but he's a very, very good skiing. The views are fantastic, Chloe. These trees here are the tamarack trees, or the mountain larch. So these are the pine trees that change color. And of course, in September, some of you will remember, well, my friend Pam did some fabulous tours up at the larch trees just coming out. Isn't it just stunning? I mean, literally, so Banff National Park obviously is where I am here. It's 6,500 square kilometers, the park, and it's one of 4 contiguous parks. The smallest of the 4 parks was what we saw over the top down in Yoho, and that's the second oldest national park. But Yoho has, you really feel like the mountains tower around you there, just the because you're lower down in the valley. And then back this way, there's a peak in the distance. That is Storm Mountain way down there. And up through there is a pass that goes into Kootenay National Park. And I'm really thinking about going to the Radium Hot Springs tomorrow. I'm sort of toying with that. And then to the north, of course, is Jasper, which is over 10,000 square kilometers. I did the numbers one time. If you put the 4 contiguous parks together, they're about half the size of the Netherlands, or about the size of the state of Delaware. So it's a big protected area. And then there's one other park, of course, famously to the south, Waterton, which is part of the International Peace Park. But look at those clouds moving up and over the top. So every valley, 85% of our precipitation falls as snow, because our snow generally comes from the Pacific Ocean. So we get excited when they say there's big storms out in Vancouver. So here we go. Ready? Yeah, let's see how well this streams. There we go. Careful in here, because there's a lot of beginner skiers this time of year, and not a lot of rounds open. The gentleman in front of me is a good real racing technique. Okay, now here is some kind of a ski lesson going on. Look at this view, everyone. Just trying to get away from all the people through here. There we go. Now look at the views out in the distance. Isn't it just spectacular? So Mount Hector's up around the corner, named for Dr. James Hector, who was kicked by his horse down in the pass, and it's still to this day known as Kicking Horse Pass. She's a lady in front of me, so it's a little nervous. I don't want to get too close. Smoker skiing, obviously. Here. Now this is a run I love to come down when it opens. There we are. So, ladies and gentlemen, how's this for a view? Now, that's one of the chairlifts down there. Let's take a little pause for a second. I don't want to go down to the very bottom till the end of our presentation, because I feel as though it might cut out, but I want to show you. So there's another chair. Oh, it is just starting now. Don't think they're taking people on, but the top of the world chair goes up, and then there's one more that goes up to the actual summit of Whitehorn Mountain. So the mountain itself, you can ski all in the front where I am, down the back and up the far side. But there in the distance, there is LakeLouise, of course, one of the most famous lakes in the world, the jewel of the Canadian Rockies. And down in the valley, you can suddenly see the village of LakeLouise, home to, well, normally about 700 people. But one of the challenges for the ski hill this year, for this, wonderful, famous ski hill, is their staff accommodation burnt down. It was actually arson. It was a person with addiction issues, and it affected them. Well, it really does affect their staffing, because it usually has about a third of their staff. So this is a blue run that I've been skiing right now. When I ski, so I'm very typical of someone who grew up in this area. Of course, the concept of being like an expert skier, we sort of all are. But when I'm skiing on my own or with friends, generally I go looking for powder. That's what people come to the Canadian Rockies for, the powder here. By the way, I have lots of sunscreen on because of the reflection. We tend to burn our faces. It was minus 10 Celsius in the car when I got here, but in the sun, it's probably up around freezing. But yeah, I tend to ski either probably the black or the double black runs. But, you know, otherwise earlier in the season, I come and do some nice cruising. And it just, you know what, I've been in the gym a lot recently and I do squats, but you just don't use those stabilizers on your thighs, you know, the same way until you get out skiing. So I feel it. But I use these all mountain skis have made skiing just so much easier for so many people. And I do have one other pair of kind of cruising carving skis, which is probably what these snow conditions would have warranted. So late May, you can still have snow on or ice on Lake Louise. Last year it was gone at May 15th, but that's way too early. Usually it's more like June 5th or 6th. And of course, then the real turquoise color comes out. Now you can hike up Temple Mountain. That's about a 12-hour return hike, but it's non-technical. And the other valley in there is where Moraine Lake is. Now, Moraine Lake is very, very famous, but you can no longer drive your car in there. You have to take a shuttle, and you even have to reserve that. So here in the national park, we have had over 7, maybe 8 million visitors this year. So massive numbers. And of course, we can't expand the number of hotels or anything like that. And so that is one of our challenges. And what worries me is it's become so expensive. I don't want the mountains to be inaccessible to normal people. You know, having a national park is really important for that reason. Talking about national park, sometime on one of our videos, I'm going to find them for you. There are a family of lynx that live here and they hunt all winter. If you've ever seen pictures of lynx, of course, they're like a bobcat. They have these tufts on the top of their ears, but they have much bigger paws. And that's because the paws actually act like snowshoes. So they're very good winter hunters. They're fascinating animals. But taking the chairlift up earlier, I was able to look down and you see so many animal tracks because there are just so many animals around out here at the moment. The elk have been all bunched together near Canmore, like probably 80 of them. And I did a tiny little clip. I didn't manage to make a YouTube out of it, but all of the bighorn sheep were all hanging out together as well down in the valley near Canmore. I mean, probably 80 or 90 of them. But I think they just went down to the valley to avoid predators. All right, let's go ski a little bit more. I'll wait till a few people move away. And this gets quite steep down here. So here we go. Ready, everyone? Time to head on down. I was trying to pick the right song. Now. There. All right. You're a better skier. It's your job to get out of the way. Don't scare me. Now, there's the snow guns, the cannons. There's the viewpoint that I love to normally show people up here, but it's closed just at the moment. So this is where they're merging together. So I'm about halfway down the mountain at this point. So pretty spectacular. Now, let's just talk a little bit about the glacier up at the far side. So that's the Victoria Glacier giving birth to Lake Louise, or Noram Nine, which is the lake of the little fish, which is really what the lake should be called. It was only about 15% of the mountain lakes had fish in them at the point of contact because they're all glacial lakes. That one, the outflow was clearly strong enough that that fish were able to swim up it. But the glacier up there has shrunk. It's lost a third of its mass in my lifetime. So all the glaciers in the Rockies are shrinking. We can core into them and we can see the start of the Industrial Revolution. So it's a huge issue because all of these glaciers melt down into the Bow River, which becomes one of the headwaters of the Saskatchewan River system, which feeds the largest breadbasket on planet Earth, which is the Canadian prairies. But if all the glaciers are gone, then there's going to be major agricultural issues in the future, and that will have global effect. But glaciers do flow, and if you can really focus, if you're on a good screen, you'll be able to see that there's crevasses that open as it does flow down slowly. So what do you say? I think we'll go take Wawaxi. Now you see a lot of people here at the moment because so many of the runs are not open yet. Often by this time of year, a lot more is, but there's the gondola in the distance you might be able to see heading up there. But let's keep going. Let's have some fun skiing. All right, everyone? So I won't be looking at the screen, needless to say, whilst I'm skiing. I've yet to fall while doing one of these virtual tours here. All right. So about 35% of the people on the mountains are going to be snowboarding. And a lot of the younger people on work visas snowboarding because the equipment's a bit cheaper and the learning curve's a little bit faster. Although, here we go, right through here. So this is Wuaxi. It's always the first run that they get open. But just enjoy the views as we come down here, everyone. Just so lovely. Alright. Now I'm just gonna let these people, just a little crowded. So I won't let loose the way I sometimes do. And you see, you do have to be careful as well when the shadows change. Now these are long runs, right? I'm probably going, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 kilometers altogether. So this is very busy here, so I just don't want to rush into the crowd. And you do have to watch snowboarders sit down when they stop. There we go. All right. Now let me just get past these folks here for a second. There we go. Well, I'm glad our stream is holding. Woohoo! All right, let's get some speed. I feel the need. But when I don't see over a ridge, then I always slow down to be on the safe side in case someone's sitting there. All right, everyone. Yeah, this is not entirely natural snow. You really can't tell the difference. Round to the front here. So they build up a really good trick park here. They only have a small one open so far. There we go. This is where everyone starts to merge in. So down below me is the Lodge of the 10 Peaks. So over to the right is where they'll build huge jumps for the freestyle skiing. They have a little trick park down there. And look at the view, how the mountains change for us when we come up here. Isn't it just spectacular? I mean, it's such a treat. And there's that Alberta blue sky, that ethereal blue. And it is because there's very little humidity in the air here, always. So you have to bring your lip cream and all of that sort of feeling. But you can burn very quickly up here, even when it's cold. But of course, in the shape of the earth, you know, it refracts out around the mountains. But remember, from here, I'm looking straight west. So it's nearly about, in miles, about 600 miles or so, about 900 kilometers from here to Vancouver. And you've got the coastal range, the Columbia Mountains, and then these, of course, are the mighty Canadian Rockies. So the North American Rockies start up in Liard Valley, up by Northwest Territories, and then they terminate down in New Mexico. But the Canadian Rockies are a single chain, about 1,400 kilometers long, again, from Liard down to Glacier Park. And it's one formation. You could even count the Mission Mountains in there that get down to beautiful Missoula, Montana. I don't count that fully because the faults are a little different, but it's one formation, and of course all this rock is limestone, and it's all rusting from west to east. All right, let's go ski to the very bottom, and then I will pack you up, and I will take a couple more runs, and then I'm going to have some yummy lunch out here. Sounds pretty nice. And then I'm going to go back to the gym, and I went climbing yesterday. So this is what I do when I have time, some time off, getting a bunch of work done on my website too. Have a look at the page about guiding, by the way. I'm having a nap on it. Now tomorrow, I may be able to put up a tour, maybe somewhere. I do actually go to the hot springs, so I'll let you know if that happens. Here's the Lodge of the 10 Peaks, Canada flag, Alberta flag, and of course, beautiful Lake Louise. Why don't we come up to the meeting place? Seems like a good place to meet. Now you'll see, this is fun. These are people learning to ski. That is a magic carpet. Now, when I learned to ski, I had to go on a rope tow or a hike up. But now they have these magic carpets around. Skiing is one of the most challenging sports to maintain participation. It's because it's so expensive. And unless you live in a place like this, you have to travel to ski, of course. So there's a lot of costs. And so it's very important to get people into the sport and keep them there from a business point of view. But let me just show you up. So there's the top. There's Whitehorn Mountain up there. And there's a chair at the very top of that. That was a pommel lift for most of my life. 3 years ago, they put in a new chair. And so you can do 3 chairs at the top. Love to ski down the back and the bottom. So here we are. So you skied from top to bottom with me. I always feel like with the sun behind me, I always feel like I've just had a bright idea. And so I've got lots. I'm home for the next couple of weeks, so I'm just thrilled about that. So I'll put up some more little virtual experiences for everyone. So feel free to share this as well.